College football fans, Hawkeye fans, welcome back or welcome in to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, the only channel created by the college football fan for the college football fan, the channel where we examine, discuss, celebrate, and honor all things college football across the entire college football landscape. If you are a fellow fanatic like myself and you've been searching for a home that is a safe haven, a gathering spot, a place for discussion amongst your college football fellow brothers and sisters, welcome home to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. I'm your host, Blair Parks, and what I've got on tap for you today, this will be my Week 10 preview and picks episode here on Thursday, October 31st. So that being said, happy Halloween to you and yours, one of my favorite holidays of the season. So, big time games coming up here in Week 10. That's right, we are rounding turn 3, getting ready to head down the home stretch to end the college football regular season. So from here out, each and every week slate is basically Separation Saturday. It's basically win and survive, because this Tuesday night, not only is it Election Day and night in this great nation of ours, but also Tuesday evening, the initial college football playoff rankings for this season will be unveiled, and that also acts as the inaugural college football playoff rankings for the new 12-team format. So each and every game here out is absolutely important, and for us Hawkeye fans, it's Badger Week. That's right, we've got Wisconsin Saturday night inside Kinnick Stadium, 6:30 p.m. on NBC. I'll definitely further break down this game here shortly. So, for those of you who have been subscribers and friends of the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, I wish to thank you for your continued support and time. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. That I always ask for, encourage, and want and welcome your comments. These episodes are driven by you, the college football fan, so please light up the comments section below. Let me know what you think about my hot takes, my opinions. Can't wait to hear from you. If you do, I promise I will get back to each and every one of you much sooner than later via those comments. And please, let's go ahead and spread the word of the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. So tell your fellow college football fans, your family members, your friends, colleagues, to check me out here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. So please like, share, rate, comment, and first and foremost, subscribe. Click that button to get notifications for my upcoming episodes. So, what I've got to break down this episode, my Week 10 preview and picks, I have my usual 3 segments. I always start off with my ultimate underdogs of that week, kind of share with you 3 games that the bettors out there in Vegas and Atlantic City, they've got these 3 teams pegged as underdogs. Let you know maybe potentially which of those 3 could maybe spring the upset. That'll be followed by my second segment, my trap games of Week 10, to where typical classic trap games, maybe a team is in a big-time matchup, or maybe a matchup that doesn't look as big on paper, but potentially maybe they're looking ahead to next week, or they're coming off a very big-time emotional victory, and maybe that classic letdown spot. So you want to stay tuned for my trap games of Week 10. And then my final segment, my favorite segment each and every week, my Week 10 preview and picks, where I've randomly chosen 13 games that I will preview and provide you my picks with. And also, of those 13 games, I have 4 specialty games, so you definitely want to stick around for those. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And please like, share, rate, comment, subscribe. Can't wait to hear from you. And thank you for allowing me to be here with you on the weekly, sharing my love and joy for all things college football with you. And it's great to be here. I have such a great time doing this. This is a complete hobby. I do not I do all my own, I do my own work here on the Touchdown Black and Go vlog, my own stunts. I don't do any retakes. I don't do any edits. I don't do any dress rehearsals. I simply click, record, download, and send because it's a hobby. It's not a job for me. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this week's episode. So let's see, what do you hear that? That could mean only one thing. There it is, Underdog himself, classic Hanna-Barbera cartoon. It is time for this week's Ultimate Underdogs. I'll let it play just a little bit longer. Let it play. That's right. All right. So my Week 10 underdogs I want to share with you. And these I'll go in order from basically by the amount of the point spread. So my first underdog of Week 10, this is my small dog breed, or this week I'll go ahead and choose it as my pug. Minnesota travels to number 24, Illinois. Illinois at home in Memorial Stadium, Champaign-Urbana. They find themselves ranked, but also a 3-point underdog at home. Both of these teams are coming off thrashings, but on opposite ends of last week. Minnesota absolutely thrashed Maryland up in the Twin Cities, while Illinois was thrashed by Oregon up in Eugene. So this is kind of a strange spread on this one, that Illinois is ranked and the home underdog by a field goal. Kind of a head scratcher to me. All right, so that is my small dog of this week, but keep an eye out for Illinois. My medium dog this week, or I'll go ahead and name it my collie, is number 17, Kansas State, travels to Houston. The Cougars find themselves a big-time underdog by 13 points. Last week, K-State, I don't want to say they were lucky because, hey, if you win, you win, but they were very fortunate, I'll put it that way, to defeat their in-state rival, Kansas, in this year's edition of the Sunflower State Showdown. They were able to get the victory at home over the Jayhawks, while Houston had a kind of a shocking win last week. They've really struggled this season, but they were able to knock off Utah last week at home. Yes, this is not the Utah team that we believed they were going to be preseason, but still, that is a big victory for a struggling team in Houston, so they're going to have a little bit more confidence. So will they be able to continue that at home against the Wildcats? You'll have to go ahead and tune in. Now, my last underdog of Week 10, my large dog breed. This is my Bull Mastiff. Florida faces off in Jacksonville, a neutral site, against number 2 Georgia. The Gators find themselves a 16-point underdog in this year's rivalry game, which used to be coined the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. We're not supposed to say that anymore, but hey, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. I'm all about tradition and history, so that's what I will always phrase it as until somebody makes me not do that anymore. But yes, Florida definitely has struggled this season under Coach Billy Napier, who finds himself on one of the hottest seats in the nation. I believe both of these teams are coming off of a bye. Georgia, they do have some kinks in that armor this season. We have seen them be a little bit exposed. There's no doubt about that. That, yes, they had a big win their last time out at number 1 Texas, but I just don't know. I still have trouble really believing in the consistency of this Georgia team. This would be a monumental upset if Florida was able to knock off the mighty Bulldogs, but we'll have to wait and see. You never know what could happen each and every year in these rivalry games. All right, so those are my 3 ultimate underdogs of Week 10, and why I do share them with you, but I will pick one of those 3 to win outright during my preview and picks segment, which is upcoming very shortly. So thank you so far. Like, share, comment, rate, subscribe, get involved, exercise your college football right. Use that voice. Can't wait to hear from you. So we can go ahead and move on from my Week 10 underdogs. We'll go ahead and let it finish up. Let it play. All right. All right, let's go and move into the next segment of this week's episode. This is my Week 10 trap games, all right? And I always like to pick 3 that I really believe that one of these 3 teams is going to fall a little bit flat due to the reasons that I shared with you during the opening is, are they potentially looking ahead to next week's matchup? Are they coming off a big win last week? There's always these things, and each and every week we could expect one of these things to happen. And I'm going to be joined here shortly to help me in this segment is Squiddy himself. Admiral Akbar is always in studio, aka the Man Cave, to help me with my trap games. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share with you my first trap game of Week 10. Virginia Tech travels to Syracuse. I'm putting Virginia Tech on Trap Alert, and here's why. Next week, Virginia Tech hosts number 11 Clemson. Now, a lot of people have forgotten about the Hokies. Yes, they had that opening week loss at Vanderbilt, but we've seen that Vanderbilt is much better than what we believed going into the season. And here they are, only one game behind the ACC leaders, Clemson and Miami. They are right there. And also Pittsburgh and SMU. All 4 of those teams right now currently are undefeated in ACC play. It's really been really entertaining watching the ACC race unfold before our very eyes. It's been awesome. And I didn't really expect that to happen. So next week, that's why I got Virginia Tech on Trap Alert. Are they going to come out looking ahead to that matchup with the Tigers in Blacksburg next week? So I'm just going to tell you, Virginia Tech and your fans, come out ready to play. Be focused because you are facing an absolute... Thank you, Admiral. He's in postseason form already. He's the best in the business. Absolutely. All right, my next trap game of Week 10. Number 19, Ole Miss travels to Arkansas. I'm putting the Rebels on Trap Alert here in Week 10, potentially facing another look-ahead spot. Next week, they host number 2, Georgia. Ole Miss already has 2 conference losses, and they know it, as we all do, that a third SEC loss, absolutely you're out of the SEC title race. But with 3 losses, you're not going to make the college football playoff. You're just not. All right? They know it. Now, Arkansas definitely is a much better team than what their record shows. So the Rebels better come out ready to play, grounded, focused, not looking ahead to next week's huge matchup, because it doesn't matter what happens next week. If they come out and falter down in Fayetteville, doesn't matter what happens next week. Their season, at least playing for the big prizes, will be kaput. It'll be ended. So that's why. Ole Miss, come out ready to play, because I have you on Trap Alert, because you definitely are in a... Thank you, Admiral, as always. Now my final trap game of Week 10. Number 10, Texas A&M. The Aggies travel to South Carolina. And I've got the Aggies on Trap Alert this week. Huge, remarkable comeback win last week for A&M at home in Kyle Field. They come back, defeat LSU. And here it is. Texas A&M is atop the SEC standings by their lonesome in their first under first-year coach Mike Elko. So there's reason for A&M and its fans, the program, to rejoice. I mean, we didn't see this coming prior to the season. We knew they were going to be much improved, with a real coach and not the fraud of frauds and Coach Jimbo Fisher, who was the fake news. But, hey, I'll stay on track here. So A&M coming off that emotional, big-time comeback victory at home. They travel to Columbia, South Carolina. The Gamecocks, that defense is legit. They are for real. They can put up points. So A&M, hopefully Mike Elko and his staff can keep these boys grounded, back on the solid ground after last week's euphoric victory. And that's why I definitely think A&M should be on trap alert. So, all right, come out ready to play. Be focused because you're warned. As of now, you are on what kind of alert? Thanks, Admiral, as always, for your assistance. Where would I be without you? And that, ladies and gentlemen, are my trap games for Week 10. And I do think one of those will absolutely happen. I do. And maybe even one of those, perhaps, will be picked in my pick segment coming up next. All right. So please get involved, comment below. Can't wait to hear from you. Let me know what you think about the episode. Or hey, feel free to tell me, what are you going to be dressing up as this year for Halloween? Or in years past, what was your favorite costume? Love to hear from you. How about that? Get the conversation started below. Now we're going to move into the big segment in this episode, week by week. That is my preview and picks segment. So if this is your first time with me here on the channel, I've already kind of broke this down. I pick 13 games each week. Some of these are the big matchups that we all know about in this week's slate of college football games, but some are kind of the off-the-radar games that I also believe will be big later on for bowl positioning and even bowl eligibility or standings within the conference. And I always have 4 specialty games. I always have my Academy game of the week, which is my way to salute the men and women of the armed forces of this great nation, both past and present. That always includes either Army, Air Force, or Navy. I always have a group of 5 game of the week. My matchup at the group of 5 levels of MAC, Sun Belt, Mountain West, Conference USA, whatever, a big matchup in the quote-unquote lower conferences. Each and every week when Iowa plays, I have my Iowa game pick of the week, and they are in action, as I mentioned, against the Badgers. Badges? We don't need no stinking badges. And I always have my spotlight game of the week. So you definitely don't want to miss these 13. So please like, share, comment, get involved. Let me know what you think about my preview and my picks. Can't wait to hear from you. Also, smash that notification subscribe button. That's, I guess, what the cool kids say these days. Smash that button. Can't wait to hear from you. All right, so last week, yours truly, I had issues uploading my Week 9 preview and picks, but trust me, for some reason, I was traveling. I could not get it up. I was having technical difficulties. Last week, yours truly went 8-5 on the week. For the season, I'm currently 60 wins to 31 losses. That's good for a clip of 66% correct. Now, my goal that I set for myself, and I stated in front of you, the Touchdown Black and Gold family, was I wanted to end the regular season 75% or better. So I'm there, but I definitely have some work to do, and I've only got 4 weeks remaining. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to my 13 games for this week. Number 1, first out of the gate, a game I already mentioned. Virginia Tech travels to upstate New York to take on the Syracuse Orange. The Cuse at home are a 4-point underdog. This is going to be a really, really close game. Virginia Tech is still right there in the running for an ACC conference title game appearance. They just need to take care of business, win today, knock off Clemson next week. I just don't think it's going to happen. I just have a feeling that Syracuse at home, inside the dome, that place is going to be lit. It's going to be off the hook. The crowd is going to be in it, making tons of noise. And I just think Syracuse springs the upset, which then will absolutely ruin Virginia Tech's goals of an ACC title game and a potential college football playoff berth. So in this game, give me the 'Cuse to win outright. Give me the orange. And yep, it will be basketball season very soon for all you crazy 'Cuse b-ball fans. Next game, big one in the SEC. Another game I also mentioned. Number 19, Ole Miss travels to Arkansas. The Hogs, Pig Sooie, find themselves a 7-point underdog at home. That's a big spread. All right, and I did put Ole Miss on trap alert for this week's game. I think Arkansas is going to give them all they can handle, but I think Ole Miss and Coach Lane Kiffin, I think he's able to rally his troops, keep them focused, and I think they will escape Arkansas with a victory. So I'm going with Jackson Dart and that up-tempo, high-scoring offense. Their defense has struggled a little bit lately, but I think they're just ultimately going to be too much for Pig Sooie. Give me the Rebels on the road. Go with Ole Miss in this game. Next game up, big one in the Big Ten. Another game that I mentioned during my Ultimate Underdog segment. Minnesota travels to number 24 Illinois. The Fighting Illini are a 3-point underdog at home. Minnesota, I'm going to say this. I think they are the better team between these two teams because they both want to play the same style of football. They want to drag you into that phone booth, have a good old-fashioned rock fight. They both want to win and dominate the lines of scrimmage, setting up the play-action pass. They want to run downhill at you, control the clock, reduce your possessions. The thing is, these are two like twin brothers. Okay, that's why I think this is a really intriguing matchup. It comes down to who is simply going to do it better. Excuse me. Now, Minnesota looked really good last week against Maryland, while Illinois really flatlined at Oregon. But hey, they went up there, they gave them their best game. Normally, I would choose Minnesota in this game, but I'm a historian. If you look at since PJ Fleck, the bald-headed beauty, took over at Minnesota, Minnesota has absolutely struggled against two teams, Iowa and Illinois. Illinois just seems to have PJ Fleck's number. The Fighting Illini are at home. I think they bounced back from that loss last week, and I like Illinois to win big in this matchup. Take Chief Illiniwek and the Fighting Illini. Next game, a big one in the SEC. Vanderbilt travels to Auburn. The Tigers find themselves a 7-point home favorite. I think this is a very, very intriguing game. This actually might be my game of the week, but I could not make it my spotlight game of the week. Vanderbilt, I believe, with one more victory, gets themselves bowl eligible, I believe. And Auburn finally was able to end their SEC losing streak last week when they handled Kentucky. I mean, that game looked a little bit closer on the scoreboard than what it really was. I think they finally found something offensively. And this, to me, would be Vanderbilt's best win of the season. I know some of you are already screaming at me. Yes, I'm aware that Vanderbilt beat Alabama. But so yes, Vanderbilt was the better team that week. But that also was after Alabama's game winner that previous week when they held on at home to defeat Georgia. So they came out definitely a little bit flat under trap alert, and I believe I put Alabama on trap alert that week when it happened. So yes, that's their best win over the best team they've played. But if Vanderbilt is able to go on the road to the Plains down there in Jordan-Hare, that would be just as impressive, if not more, than beating Alabama. But I just don't see it happening. I love me some Diego Pavia. I love me Coach Jerry Kill, who came with him from New Mexico State, going back to my SIU Carbondale days. Coach Kill, love you. But I just think Auburn gets it done. I think now that they have that victory, they can relax. Hugh Freeze can breathe a little bit there, the head coach at Auburn. I like the Tigers on the Plains to roar. Give me Auburn in this matchup. Next, big one in the Big Ten. Number 1, Oregon. The Ducks, they fly eastbound to take on Michigan inside the Big House in Ann Arbor. Michigan finds themselves a 15-point underdog at home. Woo! Woo! Ric Flair style. Actually was one of my favorite costumes one year, actually. I did go as Ric Flair, and I loved it as a child. But Michigan, this is a big time underdog in the Big House. It's crazy how far Michigan has fallen since last year, capturing the national championship trophy, hoisting that over Washington. I think Michigan will come out very inspired. I mean, last week I did pick little brother Michigan State to go up to Ann Arbor and defeat the Wolverines. That proved to be incorrect as they captured the Paul Bunyan Trophy. Michigan comes out ready to play. They're physical. They match Oregon early, but I just think Oregon has way too much offensively, and Michigan, one of the worst passing offenses in all of the land. I like Oregon. It stays close for 2, maybe 3 quarters, but I do like Oregon to win and cover and pull away big late. Give me the Ducks on the road. They survive a big road test. Next one, another big one in the Big Ten. Number 13, Indiana. That's right, this is not basketball season. The undefeated number 13 ranked Indiana Hoosiers travel to Michigan State. Sparty, even though he's flexing big like he always is, they are an 8-point underdog in East Lansing inside Spartan Stadium. Indiana, one of the best stories of the entire college football season. There they are. They sit undefeated, 8-0. But still, no one's talking about this team. No one gives them any respect. They just don't. They're like Rodney Dangerfield of college football. I'll get no respect. That's Indiana. Now, if this was an undefeated SEC team, they'd be in the top 5. All right, but since it's Indiana, and I get it, they really haven't played or been tested by anybody who you could say is a legit upper tier team. But when you just watch this team play under stud first-year coach Curt Cignetti, formerly of James Madison, the guy is a proven winner. All he does is win. Google him. You'll see what I'm talking about. That they are in the top 10 of total offense and defense in the nation. They have beaten everybody by at least 14 points or more. They've covered in every game. So just watching them play, they have played like the best team in the nation. They have not trailed a single minute or second the entire football season. Now, I'm not saying they're the best team in the nation, okay? I'm not that much of a Looney Tune. But when you watch them play, and then when you look at those statistics, they have played and look like the best, most dominant team in the nation. But yet nobody gives them a respect. I think this is actually their hardest road test to this point. They still have Michigan coming up next week in Bloomington. Then a big time game. They travel to Columbus to take on Ohio State. I think they pass this week with flying colors. I love me some Aiden Childs. Michigan State's young quarterback, their running game, they're very physical. Just ask Iowa how that matchup went a couple weeks ago up in East Lansing. But I do like Indiana. I think they continue to roll. They get it done, and they stay undefeated. And I do expect them to be in the top 10 Tuesday night come the college football playoff rankings. Give me the Hoosiers on the road. Stay perfect. Next game I mentioned in my trap games. Number 10, Texas A&M, coming off that big-time emotional comeback win last week at home against LSU. They travel to the Gamecocks of South Carolina. USC, South Carolina, finds themselves a 2.5-point underdog. So this is basically a toss-up game via the bettors. I'm going with the upset. I think A&M, they've had a magical season. They still have a ton to play for. Not only to get to the SEC title game, but to get into the college football playoff. But I think they're due to trip up. I do like the Gamecocks to get it done. I believe it is a primetime game. The crowd will be going crazy and nuts. You'll be hearing that cock crow the entire game. That every other play you're going to hear it. Just giving you a fair warning, fans, if you plan on watching or if you're going to be there, it might get a little bit annoying, but that's okay. I do like them. Their defense is legit. They find a way to get it done. Give me the Cocks in this big-time matchup. Down goes A&M. Next game, big one in the Big 12. Texas Tech travels to Ames to take on number 11 Iowa State, who sits there still undefeated, highly ranked. They are a 13.5-point favorite. Texas Tech is turning to a backup quarterback. He can throw, but then again, Rocco Becht of Iowa State can also toss the rock and throw it around the schoolyard. Texas Tech has one of the worst pass defenses in the entire nation. I like Iowa State to win big, to keep rolling. And down the stretch, they've got two big games. Iowa State goes to Utah, who they're not who we thought they were. And then they host the last game of the year. Kansas State comes calling to Ames. Can't wait for that big game. But give me Iowa State this week over the Red Raiders. Number 9, my last game to pick before my specialty games. Big one in the ACC. Already mentioned these two teams. Number 18, Pittsburgh, undefeated, travels to number 20, SMU, who has one loss that's out of conference, to highly ranked and undefeated BYU. SMU finds themselves a 7.5-point favorite at home. I can't wait to watch this game. This is such an intriguing game. Pittsburgh, here they are undefeated. And when you go through the history of the AP poll, never has an undefeated team has been ranked this low going into Week 10. Pittsburgh is another one of those teams that gets no respect, another Rodney Dangerfield in college football. While SMU, they lost their best offensive pass catcher, their best weapon, their stud tight end, Mr. Maryland, is out for the season with a knee injury. Pittsburgh, I love me some Coach Pat Narduzzi. He knows how to win. This defense is stout. Their quarterback, Holstein, is an absolute playmaker. I like Pitt on the road. Maybe I'm nuts, I'm crazy, but give me the Panthers on the road to get it done over SMU. And with that victory, Pitt will stay in the ACC title game conversation, that race. It's going to come down to the last week, I think, in the Atlantic Coast Conference, which also includes Cal and Stanford, which is on the West Coast. Yes, but anyway, give me the Panthers in that matchup. All right, so now we move on to my specialty games of Week 10. Please like, share, comment, rate, subscribe, click that notification button. Can't wait to hear from you. Light up those comments. Let's just keep it respectable, please. We all know how to act like adults, so let's please do it. So my first specialty game is my Academy game of the week. I salute you, the fighting men and women of the United States Armed Services. Air Force, the Falcons travel to West Point to take on number 21 and also undefeated Army. The Black Knights are a 22-point favorite at home against their fellow comrades in arms. Army, another great story of this college football season, to sit there being undefeated. What a great job Coach Monken has done there at West Point. And I can't go against the recruits. The cadets will be there jumping around inside Michie Stadium. Give me Army big over the Falcons. But thank you, both of these squads, both programs, and these universities for your service. I salute you, and a tip of the cap. But give me Army in this matchup. All right, next is my group of 5 matchup game of the week. I keep wanting to say my non-power 5, but it's now the power 4. So that's why it's still been tough for me this season. So I'm going to say my group of 5 matchup game of the week. Middle Tennessee State University, the Blue Raiders, travel to El Paso to take on the UTEP Miners. The Miners at home find themselves a 3-point favorite, so basically another toss-up game. I believe MTSU comes in with a record of 2-6, while the Miners are 1-7. So both of these teams need a victory. This could kind of be like their bowl games. This might be the last chance for either squad to taste victory. But I'm going with the home team. I think the UTEP's defense is a little bit better, and their rushing attack is also a little bit better. So I'm going with the Miners at home over the Blue Raiders. Give me UTEP. Next, my Hawkeye pick of the week. Mighty Wisconsin comes to Iowa City to take on Iowa. Iowa finds themselves a 3-point favorite at home inside Kinnick Stadium. And the Brendan Sullivan administration and era now officially begins in Iowa City. Last week, Cade McNamara was taken out of the game, whether if he was benched or if he was hurt. And there was a big hit on him, which ended up being a pass interference, or not a pass interference, a roughing the passer play. I was in the stands last week with my son, one of the best weekends yours truly has had in a very long time. My son, 12 years old. For those of you who have children, you know what that means. It's a tough time in his life, finding himself. It was great to get away. You know, we had a great conversation, witnessed a great ball game. As soon as Brendan Sullivan came in, yes, his first 3 series, he was 3 and out. But what he could do with his legs, that's something we have not seen at Iowa, a quarterback who can actually scramble, tuck, and run, or, hey, just call the quarterback run, period. We haven't seen that since C.J. Beathard almost a full decade ago. I like where this team is going. I think Brendan Sullivan gives Iowa a better chance to win. I think he's a better fit for new OC Tim Lester and his system. And Wisconsin, you know what they're going to do. They're going to try to bully you with good defense. This is now the air raid up there in Madison under second-year coach Luke Fickell. But still, they're still going to base their offense off of the run attack, the ground and pound. That sets them up through the air. But this has not been your usual Wisconsin rush defense. Specifically, I think they come in 58th or 59th in rush yards allowed. I think with Brendan Sullivan running on the outside, that's only going to free up stud running back Caleb Johnson for Iowa. I think he gets his 150 yards. I think he finds the end zone at least twice in this game. I like Iowa to pull out a victory, and I think it will be a 3-point game because these two teams always play it tight and close. And this is like a good old-fashioned Big Ten West matchup. Back in the day, whoever won this matchup, normally that's who the winner of the division would be. It's at home. I like me some Brendan Sullivan. I'm taking Iowa at home to get it done on NBC, primetime. I love NBC. Their coverage is next level. The quality, the picture, the camera work. I love me some Todd Blackledge. But that's the only really knock I have on NBC. I'm not really crazy about their entire analyst and broadcast team. But can't wait to watch this with the family. Give me the Hawks at home. All right, my spotlight game of the week. Huge game, not only in the Big Ten, but for nationwide, for Big Ten championship game aspirations, college football playoff aspirations, but also 2 coaches that I'm telling you come into this game with lots of pressure. And depending on who wins, we're going to have big time narratives that are going to be created. I'm talking about number 4, Ohio State, who comes in with that 1 loss at Oregon a few weeks ago. They travel to Happy Valley to take on Penn State, ranked number 3. Penn State finds themselves a 3.5-point underdog at home. So how I see this game playing out. Let me get a quick swig here. Please like, share, comment, rate, subscribe. All right. So Ryan Day for Ohio State comes in with so much pressure. All right. A $20 million roster. That's the rumor that it costs to keep some of these guys from making the jump to the NFL, bringing in some high, big name transfers in the offseason via the portal. You've got James Franklin on the Penn State sideline, who has that motto of, hey, good coach, great recruiter, but he can't win the big game. So one of these narratives is going to be changed while the other is going to get worse. If Ryan Day and Ohio State happen to lose this game, you're going to say that, hey, we got to get rid of him. I think he will then be immediately on the hot seat. But if Penn State were to lose, I think James Franklin, he has survived to this point a little bit more longevity to where people will say, well, that's just typical. And hey, one loss Penn State, probably if they win out, they're definitely going to be an at-large for the college football playoff. So we see that as progress there in Happy Valley. So much on the line. I love Penn State's defense, their rush attack. Drew Aller, their stud quarterback, is going to be a game-time decision. He left at halftime last week up in Madison against the Badgers. Penn State did rally for the victory, while Ohio State last week really survived a huge test inside the horseshoe from Nebraska. I think it was a 6-point game, but I think really Ohio State was maybe sleepwalking and looking ahead to this matchup. I don't think that really shows the quality of team that Ohio State is. This is a tough matchup for me because if Ohio State loses this game, they're sitting there with 2 conference losses, pretty much are out of the Big Ten title game appearance, and they might be at that point not a shoo-in for the playoff. I think they might need a little bit of help. While, like I said, Penn State, they win this game, they're going to get into the playoff, even if they lose a regular season game down the stretch and lose to Oregon in the Big Ten title game. With 2 losses, they're going to get in the playoff. They will. And if they lose this game and win out, they get in as an at-large either way. So I just think there's more on the line here for Ohio State. And I just have to go with how I see it. I think Ohio State has more talent. I know they're the road team. I love me some Penn State. And I want, as a Big Ten man, I want as many teams from the Big Ten in the college football playoff. I want our conference to defend and keep the national championship trophy. But I've got to go with Ohio State in this game. I just do. I think they find a way to get it done. James Franklin has only defeated Ohio State once, and they would play each and every year when we have the East and West divisions. I think his bad luck against the Buckeyes continues. Give me Ohio State on the road. I'm taking the Bucknuts. All right, guys and girls, that was my episode, my Week 10 preview and picks episode. Please like, share, comment below, rate, subscribe. Please, I need and I encourage your involvement. Comment, hit me up, give me your hot takes, let me know what you think. Do you agree or disagree with some of my my picks, my information, my presentation? Can't wait to hear from you. Definitely, I'm putting in some overtime coming up soon. I will absolutely on Sunday morning have an instant reaction and recap to the Iowa-Wisconsin game that plays out Saturday night, so be looking for that one. And then either late Sunday night or first thing Monday morning, I am going to have a projected college football playoff field for you as far as after this week, the 12 teams that I believe should be unveiled in that initial college football playoff field. So you definitely don't want to miss those. So make sure you click the button subscribe to get notifications about those upcoming episodes. So until then, thank you for all you do for the channel. Little Sammy Sosa style. I love you. I thank you. Love me some Sammy Sosa. Yes, I am a Cub fan too. I'm sorry. Nobody's perfect. And by the way, congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers on capturing another World Series title last night. But until then, enjoy the rest of your work week, your school week. Enjoy Halloween. Enjoy the football. Here's a little dad joke for you. Knock, knock. Who's there? Ah-woo. Ah-woo-hoo. Ah-woo. Werewolves of London. Yeah, I got you. So until then, have a great time. Be safe. Be responsible. And I'll see you soon on the Touchdown Black and Go vlog. Go Hawks. See ya.